In this skill-capped LoL Esports guide, you're going to see just how fearless of a player Hans Sama is and some of the crazy ways you can dominate teamfights by abusing the fact that you are playing the most sought-after target in the game.
Man in 7 layers of hell, as Hans Sama just shrinks them underneath the tower they dive.
AD carry is a super tense role where a single mistake could cost your team the game, but in spite of that, Hans is constantly using himself as bait to lure his opponents into losing positions to ensure G2 consistently comes out ahead in teamfights. To truly appreciate what you're about to watch, we have to break down a concept known as tethering. If you don't know what tethering is, don't worry, it's pretty simple. Basically, it's the act of moving back and forth with your opponent while staying just outside of their range. There's generally 2 points to this. 1, you're trying to bait them to waste important spells as you walk in and out of their effective range, or 2, you bait them to slightly misstep into a positional disadvantage. For example, they walk into range of your auto attack, letting you hit them for free.
Pretty hot as Mickey setting up on a death instant cleanse away, but Will has saved his life. Ignites down. Couple of autos too. Kellen with the flash away as well. And G2's bottom lane matches it. Oh my god!
Now that you understand that, let's get into it. To set the stage, G2 is trying to siege this tier 2 tower with Baron buff at the moment. Unfortunately, Caps missteps and takes a huge chunk of damage before the fight has even started. There should really be no point in continuing to fight here, especially because G2 isn't even in a commanding lead this game. Fighting a carry down is not a great idea, but Hans sees his teammate's Maokai ult coming and knows he can use the chaos to bait someone out of position. Keep in mind that when SK sees this ultimate coming, they basically have 2 choices. As a team, they can choose to disengage and all fall back together to tank it away from Kog'Maw's auto range, or they can all move forward and use their health and numbers advantage to just force G2 away. However, coordinating like that during the chaos of a fight is pretty hard, and Hans takes advantage of it perfectly. Take a look at his spacing as the ult comes in. He walks forward, and the enemy Lulu takes this as a sign to turn. With Polymorph, they can focus Kog'Maw down. Aphelios realizes her intention and turns as well, but by then, Hans and Lulu have already turned and backed off. He turns around again, baiting Lulu a final time, but then he just goes back again to spacing them out. Lulu then realizes she's just being baited over and over and gives up on trying to polymorph Kog. However, Aphelios didn't get the memo and keeps walking forward despite having Braum passive still on him. This is a fatal mistake. Now watch this fight in real-time speed and you'll understand why that was so frustrating to deal with for SK. There's a Maokai ultimate coming their way, panic is ensuing, and all the while Hans is just spacing them back and forth, baiting someone to mess up their positioning. This all happened nearly instantly and decisions had to be made in fractions of a second. Unfortunately for Aphelios, he fell for Hans Sama's bait and was quickly disposed of. The bait ensures G2 an easy teamfight win, which eventually leads to cracking the base open and taking an inhibitor. If you're still not convinced that this works, you just need to keep watching Hans play. He constantly baits players' important spells out this way. You can see in this fight, he's running in a straight line, autoing versus Braum who still has his ultimate up. It's easy to think that Hans just forgot about the spell still being up, but you'll notice the second that Braum turns around, that's when he begins juking and dodges the ult after baiting it out. And just like that, he dominates yet another teamfight. You will notice this is a consistent theme in the way that Hans Sama approaches fights. Pretending to mess up is one of the best tools he utilizes to bait his opponents into throwing their lives away. We hope it's now painfully clear what you should be looking out for when watching G2's games from now on.